how compassion changes your brain and why it matters more than you think. Have you ever noticed something weird? You hold the door open for someone, they smile and say thanks, and suddenly you feel better than they do. Like, why did your mood just upgrade? That's not magic. That's your brain on compassion. And here's the part most people don't realize. Compassion doesn't just make you a nice person. It literally rewires your brain. Today, I want to show you how that happens, without science jargon, without lectures, and why a little compassion might be the most underrated brain hack you're not using. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll see kindness very differently, including the way you treat yourself. Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain is constantly scanning the world, asking one question: am I safe? When it thinks the answer is no, your brain flips into defense mode. Stress hormones rise, your body tightens, your thoughts get louder and faster. That's survival mode. Now, here's the interesting part. Compassion tells your brain the opposite story. When you show compassion towards someone else or yourself, your brain gets a signal that says, we're okay, we're connected, we're not alone. And when your brain hears that message repeatedly, it starts to change. Think about the last time someone really listened to you. Not interrupting, not checking their phone, just listening. Remember how your shoulders dropped a little? How your breath slowed down? That wasn't just emotional, that was neurological. Your brain released chemicals like oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Oxytocin calms your nervous system, lowers stress, and makes your brain feel safe. Basically, compassion tells your brain, relax, you don't have to fight right now. Here's a funny example. Ever notice how you can mess up badly, but when a friend messes up, you're like, it's okay, everyone makes mistakes. But when you mess up, your brain suddenly turns into a dramatic movie critic. Unbelievable! How could you do this? This is why nothing works out. Same brain, different tone. What's happening is your brain learned compassion for others, but forgot to apply it inward. And guess what? Self-compassion affects your brain just as powerfully as compassion for others. Here's what happens inside your head when you practice compassion regularly. First, your stress response quiets down. Your brain's alarm system, the part that's always watching for danger, stops overreacting. You don't panic as fast. You recover quicker. You don't spiral over small things. Life still happens. Your brain just doesn't act like everything is an emergency anymore. That alone is life-changing. Second, compassion strengthens emotional control. When you're compassionate, your brain's emotional centers and reasoning centers start working together instead of fighting each other. That means you feel emotions without being swallowed by them. You respond instead of react. You think more clearly under pressure. In other words, compassion makes you mentally stronger, not weaker, contrary to what we were taught. Now, let's talk about something unexpected. Compassion actually improves focus. Yeah, kindness helps attention. When your brain isn't stuck in self-criticism or judgment mode, it has more mental energy available. Think of it like this. Judging yourself is like running heavy apps in the background. Compassion closes those apps. Suddenly, your brain runs smoother. Here's a real-life moment you'll recognize. You're already having a rough day. You spill coffee. Your brain says, of course you did, typical. Your stress doubles instantly. Now imagine a different response. Okay, it's just coffee. Breathe. Same situation, completely different brain reaction. That tiny shift is compassion at work, and your nervous system feels it immediately. Another fascinating change compassion creates is your brain becomes more resilient. Resilience doesn't mean never feeling pain. It means bouncing back faster. Compassion teaches your brain that mistakes, failure, and discomfort aren't threats. They're part of being human. So instead of collapsing under pressure, your brain adapts, and adaptation is intelligence. Let's add a little humor here. Your brain is kind of like a scared cat. If you chase it with a broom, yelling, criticizing, panicking, it freaks out, runs everywhere, knocks things over. But if you sit down calmly, move slowly, offer safety, the cat relaxes. Your brain works the same way. Compassion is you putting the broom down. Now, here's something really important. Compassion doesn't mean letting everything slide. It doesn't mean avoiding responsibility. It doesn't mean being passive. It means correcting behavior without attacking the person. And when the person is you, that distinction matters a lot. Your brain learns better in a safe environment. Always has. Over time, compassion actually reshapes your brain. Neural pathways associated with fear weaken. Neural pathways linked to empathy, balance, and emotional regulation strengthen. You become less reactive, more patient, more emotionally stable. Not because life got easier, but because your brain got wiser. Here's how this shows up in daily life. You pause before snapping. You recover quicker after bad news. You don't beat yourself up for days over one mistake. You still care. You just don't suffer unnecessarily. That's not softness. That's efficiency. Now, let's bring this home. You don't need to become a saint. You don't need to be positive all the time. You don't need to fix everyone. Just practice small moments of compassion. When you're tired, don't insult yourself. When someone else is struggling, listen instead of judging. When things go wrong, breathe before blaming. Each moment sends a message to your brain, and your brain listens. So here's the big takeaway. Compassion isn't just something you do, it's something that changes how your brain works. It turns down fear, it increases clarity, it builds resilience, it makes your mind a calmer place to live. And the more you practice it, the more your brain becomes a place of strength instead of stress. That's not just kindness, that's neuroscience working